While very really youthful, yours parent or guardians are accountable for upbringing and training you as you increase up, but how do you aware if you are receive a nice parenting? But which happens to family who are driven up by such a confined facility? I was grown in a homeschool sectarian worship that emboldened parent to set up their own slight schools and resume their wedding tonsure, fair love the Turpin household. I recognize several of their behaviors. While my parent got along, they were disappointed by the too complimentary and hippie styling of residing how was sweep through the nation. They requested family to dwell a various lifetime instead of one in no morals or rules. He was an icon, type of love a seer. The seminars implicated a 1 week of intense indoctrination. He was the credibility. His speech was the act. My parent begun homeschooling in the deceased 1980s, and for above 30 years our household became portion of the close society in such values. Down there was a lot of hard-handed flogging of our parent. To not obey them, was to not obey deity. The framework was particularly terrible for the slight ones. At Draft Gothod's seminars he utilized to say on break their will. They were rather offensive, but we knew some families who had it worst rather than us. While I was slight, we lived in a portable household. It was very inappropriate. Down there were 4 persons, or 5 of us in a chamber. By the IBLP framework, adults were not permitted to get an obligation or include a hypothec, so my parent constructed a building. Time it was creature built, we lived in a parking garage. I lived in a appropriate building at 15 and share a dormitory in 1 or 2 sisters. It seemed penalty at the period, but as I grew up, it was more than hard possessing no area to myself. Judy believes down there is a connect among the Turpin household and Draft Gothard and the IBLP, same's really big in Texas. I met the Duggar household, someone include 19 family, at one of the seminars. The actual expressiveness is on families, big ones. Same planet external our society was introduced to us as in wrong, bad location how we were secured of. We were required to remember a lot of scriptures, chapters and chapters of the Bible, to the spot at that we could quotation them off by cardiac. I got on in my siblings. You had to, house one of the commands. I might not include in regular occasion. Down there was certainly a pecking procedure and a lot of intimidation in the household. Misuse in homeschool communities is frequently normalized or so hidden and all too overall thou don't aware which's regular. Down there was no TV and no communicating in nobody external our round. We observed movies one day a 1 week at my grandparents' building. We would include been seen and heard as down there was a garden and playgrounds close our building wherever we could act. But we didn't incorporate external the household. We were fed so. All of us had braces on our gearing and we were wholesome. I am the other eldest of 9 siblings, and while my mom gave childbirth I had care of children responsibilities. Girls weren't emboldened to conduct careers. They were anticipated to remain at household and assist out in the household, and I was stored lively in lot of national job. I did cute lot all. I was love a other mother, particularly time my mum incurred of depressive following she miscarried kid quantity 10. My dad was off a lot on industry for the springtime and year. But while he was about, he was largest certainly in accusation. By Draft Gothod's teachings, I was shipped to Taiwan elderly 21 to learn British for 6 months. Following a year behind in Oregon, I went to continent China. In a feeling, I didn't very keep my household. I was yet really lot associated by telephone call and emails. Residing in China, I got to aware regular Americans who hadn't been homeschooled. How was a bit of a civilization upheaval. I met a UK man down there and quickly implemented how various my lifetime was behind in Oregon. We solved to get marital in the US. I didn't understand how lot of a conduct the worship had on me. My man and I remaining in the US for a time, but quickly implemented it was superior for us to shoot ourselves of the society fully. My household didn't very love my man though he was very nice in them. My man emboldened me to remain in concern in my household. It took a lot for him to see how they were never departure to changing. But I include not seen my household with I leftward. I'm now in my 30s. A lot of human beings ask if he's difficult to cut oneself off of yours household. It was an coup, but I was happy to include the supporting of my man who helping me to discover the force to keep my society and nation. I couldn't include made it one. He's undertaken me a length period to understand the degree of the misuse I found. Now how I include 3 beautiful family of my own and am portion of a actual society and chapel, I understand my parenting was not regular. Interviewing by Sherry Ryder, UGC and Public News Story Crew.